Have you ever asked yourself, why do I always feel drained after being kind to everyone? Why does it feel like no matter how nice you are, people still walk over you, ignore your voice, or take you for granted? If you've ever smiled when you wanted to scream, stayed quiet when you had something to say, or agreed just to avoid conflict, you're not alone. Most people confuse being kind with being available, agreeable, and silent. But here's the harsh truth. Being kind to everyone is destroying your power. We live in a world that rewards strength, not sacrifice. A world where leaders are admired, not for how nice they are, but for how clear, confident, and firm they are. So why are you still trying to win hearts instead of earning respect? Here's the twist no one tells you. The more you try to be kind to everyone, the more you disappear. Psychologically, it starts early. We're taught to avoid conflict, to make others happy, to be the good one. But over time, that conditioning makes us shrink. We become afraid to disappoint, scared to say no, worried someone might stop liking us. But ask yourself, what's the price of being liked by everyone? Usually it's your time, your energy, your identity. You don't need to be rude. You don't need to be cold. But if you want to lead, if you want to be heard, if you want to command attention and not beg for it, then you need to stop confusing kindness with weakness. Here's what most people never realize. Every time you say yes when you want to say no, you're teaching your mind that your voice doesn't matter. Every time you let someone cross a line, you erase your boundaries. Every time you shrink yourself to make someone else comfortable, you send a message to your brain that their comfort is more important than your truth. And here's where the shift happens. Your brain remembers. It keeps track. It slowly erases your sense of self. The more nice you are, the more invisible you become. The more understanding you act, the more people assume you're easy to manipulate. Not because they're cruel, but because you trained them to see you that way. This is deep psychology. It's wired into us. Humans respond to confidence. We follow clarity. We trust those who lead, not those who blend in. So if you've ever wondered why your ideas get ignored, why people talk over you in meetings, why you always feel like people only call you when they need something, it's not because you're too kind. It's because you're not valuing your kindness. You're giving it away to everyone. And when you give something freely, people stop seeing it as valuable. Real leaders don't give themselves away. They choose where to place their energy. They don't try to be liked. They aim to be respected. And respect doesn't come from smiling more. It comes from standing up straighter, speaking more clearly, and protecting your boundaries like your life depends on it. Because it does. This video is going to flip a switch inside you. If you stay with it till the end, you'll learn the exact mental shift that separates powerful leaders from forgotten followers. You'll discover how to speak so people listen, how to set boundaries without guilt, how to turn your kindness into strength, not a burden. So if you're tired of being nice and getting nothing back, if you're ready to speak like someone who knows their worth, keep watching. Your voice deserves to be heard. And it starts right now. Kindness is beautiful. But the way most people practice it, it's broken. True kindness isn't about saying yes all the time. It isn't about pleasing people, avoiding conflict, or shrinking yourself to keep the peace. That's not kindness. That's fear. Fear of being judged, rejected, or left out. We've been conditioned to believe that being kind means being soft, always available, always agreeable, always saying it's okay even when it's not. But that's not kindness. That's self-erasure. Here's what real kindness is. Honesty, integrity, it's being truthful even when it's uncomfortable. It's saying what you mean and meaning what you say. It's knowing your worth and acting like it. The people who are truly kind don't bend for everyone. They don't sacrifice their energy to earn love. They know where they end and others begin. That kind of kindness, it commands respect. It builds trust. It creates peace, not just around them, but within them. But the kind of nice most people practice, it does the opposite. It leads to burnout. It builds silent resentment. And worst of all, it attracts people who take and take and take because they know you won't push back. This is how you lose yourself without realizing it. You wake up one day exhausted, feeling used, wondering why people don't treat you with respect. The answer is simple. You've taught them not to. Every time you smile while hurting inside, every time you say no problem when it was a big problem, every time you let someone cross a line and stayed silent, you trained them to believe your boundaries don't matter, but they do. You matter. And real kindness starts with honoring yourself first. When you learn to be kind without betraying yourself, everything changes. People feel it. They stop testing your limits. They start listening to you differently. Because now, your kindness comes with strength. And strength combined with grace is the most powerful force in the world. People don't ignore you because you're not smart. They don't overlook you because you don't have value. They ignore you because your presence doesn't demand attention, not because you're weak, but because you're always trying to stay small. You speak carefully. You choose your words to avoid offense. You lower your voice. You over-explain. You smile to keep things smooth. But in doing that, you vanish. Human psychology is simple. We pay attention to what stands out. We respect what speaks with certainty. We follow what feels sure of itself. So when you speak like you're unsure, when you give away your time too easily, when you constantly try to be liked, people sense it. And their brain instantly labels you as non-essential. It's not cruelty, it's biology. The mind filters what matters. And when you don't believe in your own voice, others won't either. Now think about the people you admire. They don't chase attention, they don't beg for approval, they speak with power, calm, clarity, control. They don't need to yell, they don't need to dominate. But when they speak, people lean in. That's not an accident, that's presence. Presence doesn't come from being loud, it comes from knowing you don't have to prove yourself. If you're being ignored, it's not because you're too kind, it's because your energy says, I don't matter as much. Change that energy. Start talking like your voice deserves to be heard. Start walking like your time matters. Start choosing your words like a leader, not a follower, and people will notice, because the world doesn't ignore strength, it responds to it. Leaders think differently, they move differently, they speak differently. It's not about power over others. It's about power over themselves. They don't try to be liked, they try to be clear. They don't bend for approval, they stand for values. The leader's mindset starts with one belief: I am responsible for how I show up. Not how others feel, not how they react, but how I show up. That belief changes everything. It removes the fear of judgment, it silences the need to please, and it builds something deeper than confidence, self-trust. Leaders don't second-guess every word. They speak with purpose. They listen fully. They respond, not react. Because they understand something most people miss, clarity is kindness. Confusion creates chaos. Hesitation creates doubt. But clear, direct communication builds trust, even when the message is hard. And here's the truth most avoid. You can't lead if you're afraid to disappoint. You can't lead if you're always explaining yourself. You can't lead if your voice depends on who's in the room. Leadership begins when your words are guided by truth, not approval. That doesn't mean being cold, it means being rooted, grounded in your values, firm in your boundaries, and calm in your presence. That calmness, it's powerful. It tells the world, I know who I am, I don't need to shout, I don't need to chase, and the world listens, because when you carry yourself like a leader, with quiet certainty, clear boundaries, and unwavering focus, people feel it. And they follow not because they're told to, but because they trust you lead from within. Most people speak to be liked. Leaders speak to be heard. There's a massive difference. When you speak to be liked, your words become soft. You hesitate. You filter. You add extra words to keep people comfortable. You say what you think they want to hear. But when you do that, you lose your voice. You water it down, and the message gets lost. But when you speak to be heard, everything changes. You don't talk to impress, you talk to impact. Your words become simple. Your tone becomes steady. You're not rushing. You're not seeking approval. You're just present. Psychology tells us something powerful. People can feel your intention, even if they don't understand your words. So when your intention is to be liked, they feel the neediness. But when your intention is to lead, to inspire, to stand for something, they feel the power behind your words. People don't follow charisma. They follow conviction. And conviction isn't loud. It's clear, it's calm, it's certain. If you want your voice to matter, stop trying to make everyone agree with it. Say what needs to be said. Mean it. Stand behind it. Even if someone disagrees, even if someone doesn't clap. Because real influence doesn't come from popularity. It comes from truth. And when you speak with truth, firm, clear, grounded truth, you don't just get attention, you earn respect. So stop asking, did they like what I said? Start asking, did they feel what I meant? That shift, that's when your words begin to move people. I'm sorry. 2 words that are ruining your presence. You say them out of habit, when you're late, when you speak up. Sometimes even when you've done nothing wrong. It feels polite, it feels kind. But deep down it sends the wrong message. Every time you apologize without reason, you shrink yourself. You put yourself below others. You tell the world, I don't deserve space, and your brain listens. Every unnecessary apology chips away at your confidence. It teaches your subconscious that your voice is a disruption, that your presence needs permission. But here's what powerful people do differently. They don't apologize for existing. They don't say sorry for speaking the truth. They don't soften every sentence just to be accepted. They understand this apology is sacred. It should mean something. You apologize when you've hurt someone. You apologize when you've done wrong. But you don't apologize for having boundaries. You don't apologize for taking up space. You don't apologize for saying no. Start replacing sorry with strength. Don't say, sorry, I'm late. Say, thank you for waiting. Or don't say, sorry to bother you. Say, do you have a moment? These small shifts matter because language is energy, and energy becomes identity. When you stop apologizing so much, people notice. They start taking your words more seriously. They listen longer. They respond with more respect. Why? Because now your voice comes from ownership, not from guilt. So the next time you feel that apology rising in your throat, pause. Ask yourself, did I actually do something wrong? If not, speak with confidence, speak with clarity, and speak knowing this. You don't have to be sorry for showing up in your own life. Most people fear silence. They rush to fill it. They speak too soon, too fast, too much, just to avoid that uncomfortable pause. But here's what strong communicators know. Silence is not empty. Silence is power. When you're not afraid of silence, you control the room. You control your thoughts. You control attention. Because silence creates space. And in that space, people lean in. They start paying closer attention to what you say next. Weak minds fill silence with noise. Strong minds sit in it with confidence. When you pause before speaking, your words carry more weight. When you pause after speaking, your message lands deeper. It gives the other person time to absorb what you said. And more importantly, it gives you time to choose your words with precision. You don't need to speak first to sound smart. You don't need to speak more to sound important. In fact, the less you say, the more powerful your words become if they're chosen with intention. This is pure psychology. In a world full of noise, silence becomes magnetic. It signals calm. It signals control. It signals certainty. Next time you're in a conversation, try it. Hold your ground. Breathe. Let the pause work for you. You'll notice something surprising. People start waiting for your words. They don't interrupt. They respect the space you create. Why? Because your silence tells them you are not desperate to be heard. You are already grounded in what you know. So don't fear the pause. Use it. Let it sharpen your message. Let it show your strength. Because sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is nothing. No is one of the most powerful words you can say, yet it feels so hard for most people. Why? Because we've been taught to say yes, to keep everyone happy, to avoid disappointing others at all costs. But here's the truth. Every time you say yes when you want to say no, you lose a piece of yourself. You give away your time, your energy, your peace. Saying no isn't mean. It's not selfish. It's a sign of strength. It shows you know your limits. You respect your priorities. You value your own worth. And here's the secret. When you say no clearly and calmly, people respect you more. Boundaries create respect. People trust those who protect themselves. On the other hand, people who never say no, they attract disrespect. They become overwhelmed. They lose control of their own lives. You don't owe anyone an explanation for saying no. Your no is enough. If you feel guilty, that's your mind lying to you. Guilt is a tool that keeps you trapped in people's expectations. Real leaders don't apologize for protecting their time. They don't justify their choices to everyone. They say no without guilt. They say no with confidence. So the next time you want to say yes out of obligation, pause. Ask yourself, is this my choice or my fear? Choose no when you need to. Choose peace over pleasing. Choose yourself first, because you deserve that respect, first and foremost from yourself. Why do we feel the need to explain every decision, every feeling, every word? Because we want to be understood. We want others to accept us. We want to avoid conflict. But here's the problem. Explaining too much weakens your message. It dilutes your power. It invites doubt. When you over-explain, you sound uncertain. You make people question your confidence. You give them permission to argue or dismiss you. Strong people don't explain, they state. They don't justify, they declare. They don't apologize, they own. This doesn't mean you're rude or arrogant. It means you trust your voice enough not to overwork it. You respect your own boundaries. You know your reasons don't need constant approval. The brain craves certainty. When you explain everything, you sound unsure. When you state your truth simply and firmly, you build trust. Imagine someone who says, I can't take that on right now. Then stay silent. No justifications, no excuses. Just clear, confident words. People respect that. They don't feel the need to push back. They accept the boundary. So next time you catch yourself over-explaining, pause. Ask, does this really need an explanation? If the answer is no, stop. Speak with clarity. Stand your ground, because your energy changes the message more than words ever will. Your energy is contagious. The people you surround yourself with shape your mindset, your habits, your future. If you spend time with those who drain you, criticize you, or doubt your dreams, you will feel tired. You will lose motivation. You will start doubting yourself. But if you choose people who uplift you, challenge you, and believe in your potential, you will feel stronger. You will stay inspired. You will push harder and reach higher. Psychology shows us that humans naturally mimic their social groups. We take on their attitudes, their language, their energy. So if your circle doesn't reflect the person you want to become, it's time to reconsider. Kindness doesn't mean keeping toxic people around to avoid confrontation. Kindness means protecting your peace. Kindness means valuing yourself enough to say, I deserve better. Strong leaders don't tolerate negativity disguised as honesty. They don't settle for people who pull them down. They invest in relationships that feed their growth and support their vision. You don't have to be rude or unkind to cut ties. You can simply prioritize your well-being. You can simply choose to spend time with those who bring out the best in you. Remember, your success depends as much on your network as it does on your effort. Surround yourself with people who see your worth and watch how your life transforms. How often do you catch yourself asking, what will they think? How will they react? Will they approve of me? Seeking approval is one of the biggest traps holding you back. It's a silent thief of your confidence and authenticity. When your actions depend on others' opinions, you lose control of your life. You shape yourself to fit expectations that don't belong to you. You hide your true thoughts, dreams, and feelings. But here's a secret. No one is as focused on you as you think. Most people are too busy worrying about their own approval. The power lies in freeing yourself from that pressure. When you stop seeking approval, you stop shrinking. You start expanding. Your energy shifts from fear to freedom. You speak your truth without hesitation. You follow your path without doubt. This shift isn't easy. It requires courage. It requires practice. But every time you choose yourself over approval, you build strength. And strength is magnetic. People respect those who live for themselves, not for others. So stop asking for permission to be who you are. Stop looking for validation outside yourself. Start trusting your own voice. Start walking your own path. Because the only approval you truly need is your own. Words are powerful. They create realities. But how often do you say things you don't really mean? How often do you speak just to fill the silence or avoid discomfort? When your words don't match your feelings, confusion grows. You send mixed signals to yourself and others. You feel disconnected, and so do they. Real power comes when your words and your heart align, when what you say reflects exactly what you believe and feel. Saying what you mean is not about being blunt or harsh. It's about being honest, clear, and respectful. It means cutting through the noise of maybe, and I guess to say, this is how I feel, this is what I want, this is my boundary. Psychology shows that clarity reduces anxiety, not just for you, but for everyone involved. People don't fear honesty, they fear uncertainty. When you speak your truth, you invite respect. You build trust. You stop playing guessing games that drain your energy. It takes practice. It takes courage. But every time you say what you mean, you strengthen your inner voice. That voice becomes your compass. It guides your actions and decisions with integrity. So don't settle for half-truths or vague words. Speak clearly. Speak honestly. Speak like you mean it, because you do. One of the hardest truths to accept is this: not everyone will like you. No matter what you say or do, you might try to please everyone, change your words, your actions, even yourself, but you will never win that game. Why? Because people have different values, perspectives, and needs. What feels right to one person may feel wrong to another. Accepting this frees you from an impossible burden. It stops you from constantly twisting yourself to fit every expectation. The more you try to be liked by all, the less you're liked by yourself. You lose your identity in the noise of others' opinions. Leaders understand this deeply. They know that being authentic means risking disapproval. They accept that some people will resist their truth. But here's the key: disapproval doesn't define your worth. Your value isn't based on someone else's acceptance. When you stop fearing disapproval, you start living boldly. You become free to pursue your goals, your happiness, your life. So stop chasing approval that will never come from everyone. Focus instead on being true to yourself, because the people who truly matter will appreciate you for who you are. And that kind of respect, it's far more powerful than any shallow approval. Confidence isn't something you're born with. It's not a secret talent reserved for a lucky few. Confidence is a choice, a daily decision. You can choose to believe in yourself, even when doubts scream louder. You can choose to stand tall, even if your knees shake inside. You can choose to speak up, even if your voice feels small. Every confident person you admire has been exactly where you are, afraid, uncertain, unsure. The difference? They chose to act in spite of their fear. This is powerful psychology. Your brain can't tell the difference between acting confident and actually being confident. When you act with courage, your mind rewires itself to believe it. So start small. Make choices that show yourself you're worthy. Speak your truth in small moments. Set boundaries in simple ways. Each choice builds momentum. Each step strengthens your inner voice. Confidence grows like a muscle, not by waiting for permission, but by daring to take action. You don't have to feel confident to be confident. You just have to choose it again and again. And when you do, you send a message to the world and to yourself that you are here, that your voice matters, and that you will no longer settle for being invisible. The journey to powerful communication starts with owning your voice, not the voice shaped by fear, doubt, or the need to please, but the voice that belongs to you, clear, strong, and unapologetic. Owning your voice means accepting your imperfections. It means embracing your strengths and weaknesses alike. It means speaking from a place of honesty and courage. When you own your voice, you take control of your story. You stop letting others write your narrative. You lead your life with intention and purpose. This is not easy. It requires constant awareness and practice. But every time you speak your truth, you build a foundation that can't be shaken. Remember, you don't have to be perfect to be heard. You just have to be real. The world is waiting for your voice, not a watered-down version, but your authentic self. The leader inside you is ready to rise. So stop being kind to everyone just to be liked. Start being clear with yourself and others. Set boundaries. Speak with confidence. Choose your circle wisely. And most importantly, trust that your voice is enough. Because it is. You are enough. And when you finally own your voice, you'll realize you've always had the power to lead.